Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about one of the businesses that I've been looking at pretty closely lately as a potential investment, and that's Avepoint. So I've actually already started investing in Avepoint. I've held shares in their business for quite a while now, and as you can see on my Robinhood account, I'm currently down like 20% because I bought in when it was at $11, and this was a couple months ago. And this is more of a long-term play for me. I don't really see myself selling these shares for the foreseeable future, at least until January or February of 2022, because that's around when I bought it. I bought it in January or February of 2021. That was when they were still listed as Apex Technology and before their merger. And the merger that they made with Apex Technology was at a valuation of $2.1 billion, and their current market cap is only 1.6 billion. So that is there's pretty substantial growth to be had there between 1.6 billion and 2.1 billion. And on top of that, a market cap of 1.6 billion for a tech company like Avepoint is pretty small in comparison to a lot of their competitors. And they've only been in business for about 20 years, which is it's not that small of a time. It's a pretty long time, but in those 20 years, they've actually been providing software as a service solutions, or aka SaaS solutions, for Microsoft 365. They're the largest Microsoft 365 data management solutions provider, and they're actually the only provider in the world that provides migration, management, and protection of data all in one package. They're, I believe, they're one of five businesses that earn annual revenues of around $150 million out of 200 businesses in their sector. So they're definitely one of the uh, top competitors in their sector. And as you can see right here, it says we migrate, manage, and protect data to secure Microsoft Cloud, SharePoint collaboration. Join more than the 8 million cloud users that trust Avepoint. And when I bought into Avepoint at around January of 2021, they only had 6 million cloud users at that point, and now they already have 8 million. And on top of that, as you can see right here, Avepoint Partner Program launched. So they recently launched a global partner program. So they're expanding their global footprint internationally, and they've actually already previously expanded into other countries prior to them uh, launching this partner program. Some of the countries that they've made a strong footprint in are, of course, the United States, but also Canada, Australia, South Africa, United Kingdom, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Japan, Singapore, and China. So they're expanding their global footprint internationally, and considering that right now they only have 8 million cloud users, and their current revenue is already $150 million annually, and their second quarter, as you can see right here, their second quarter earnings recently came out, and they actually pulled in, I believe it was about $160 million in revenue, which beat estimates for their quarter two earnings. So they're definitely growing at a pretty fast pace. I think at one point they were marked as like one of the fastest growing businesses currently out there. And so with only 8 million cloud users and a revenue of like $160 million, on top of the fact that they're expanding globally, I think that this number is probably going to grow pretty substantially in the coming future, whether it be in the next couple of months. I've only owned the company for a couple of months, and they've already grown an extra like 2 million cloud users in just that short amount of time. So I'm guessing like in the next couple of years, on top of the fact that they're expanding globally, this number is probably going to, double if not triple. And they actually pointed out in their quarter two earnings report that by like 2022, they're estimating that they're going to have around like 20 million cloud users. So that's going to bring in a lot more revenue, which I think is going to skyrocket the share price of Avepoint. And right now, I actually think the price is relatively cheap compared to the intrinsic value of the business. If you compare Avepoint's financial statements to the financial statements of other businesses in their sector that have similar revenues, those businesses are valued way higher than Avepoint currently is. And so I think that once Avepoint's share price catches up to or once its valuation catches up to the valuation of other businesses in its sector that have similar, revenues and financial statements, I think that this share price will spike up pretty dramatically. And another thing that I wanted to talk about was Avepoint's leadership. So if you go to their website, you click on About Us, and you scroll down and you go to Leadership. You can actually see all of the people who were in charge of the day-to-day for Avepoint, and you can also see their board of directors. Now, for those of you who don't know, board of directors are essentially the people who are in charge of the best interests for shareholders, like me, for example, and other people who own shares in Avepoint. And one thing you'll notice by reviewing the bios of all of these leaders for the board of directors for Avepoint is that they're all pretty highly qualified individuals. They all have really strong education from like Ivy League colleges, and on top of that, they've all been in charge of other businesses in the past, so they have past experience working in similar positions with other businesses. So this is a pretty strong group of individuals that make up the board of directors and committees for Avepoint, and that's something that's really important. If you ever watch like Warren Buffett talk about some of his criteria for investing in companies, the leadership is one of the biggest things that need to meet your proper criteria, because I mean they're the ones that are in charge of making sure that shareholders get a good return on their investment, and in charge of making sure that the company grows and making all of the best business decisions for the business. So that's really important. And the last thing one of the last things that I want to talk about, two more things that I wanted to talk about, was right now they're only providing migration management and protection of data to the Microsoft Cloud and SharePoint. But one of the big opportunities that I see for Avepoint is to expand to AWS, which is the cloud computing service provided by Amazon Web Services. So as you can see right here, it says Amazon Web Services Inc. is a subsidiary of Amazon, providing on-demand cloud computing platforms and APIs to individuals, companies, and governments on a metered pay-as-you-go basis. And so I think that once Avepoint moves and diversifies not only towards providing software solutions for Microsoft and SharePoint, but once they start providing solutions for Amazon as well, that's going to give them a lot more leverage, and they're also going to be able to potentially raise their prices as well that they currently charge for their services, which at the moment is around $2,000 a month. And they don't really have as much leverage at the moment because they're only providing software solutions for like I said, Microsoft, SharePoint, and like maybe a few other handful of companies. But once they add Amazon to their portfolio, then they're going to have a lot more leverage, and they'll be able to negotiate higher prices for their services, which will also increase revenues, which will in turn increase the share price of their stock. And the last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was what it is that they actually are doing. So a lot of people can read like migrate, manage, and protect data, but that doesn't mean that you really know what it means. So I wanted to go over here and just look at what these different cloud models, which are called infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, which is what Avepoint generally focuses on, as well as on-premise services. These are different cloud models that if those of you who don't know what the cloud is, it's essentially a pretty massive storage unit, multiple storage units that are built all across the globe, and essentially you can rent storage from these different storage units, so that instead of saving data on your own personal hard drives, like on your computer or on your flash drive, you can just rent space from these different storage units around the world, and then you can save all of your data on those hard drives instead. And since there are multiple hard drives placed all around the world, if one of those hard drives goes down, your data will still be backed up by the other hard drives that are all like built all over the world in different countries. So it's a pretty safe way and a pretty efficient way of storing your data. And the traditional way is to do on-premise storage, which is essentially what I just said, like storing data on your own hard drives, on your own flash drives, etc. And the problem with on-premise data storage is that you manage pretty much everything. So everything from building the storage units, networking, managing the servers, you know, the how much data you can actually store in it, the applications for it all. You're basically in control of everything, and that can be a little difficult. It you know, introduces its own varying challenges that infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service can help alleviate. And so IaaS, or infrastructure as a service, it basically takes out parts of the responsibility from individuals who would otherwise be storing data using on-premise management services. And so the virtualization, servers, storage, networking, all of that is taken care of for you when you buy infrastructure as a service in order to manage your data. Platform as a service is essentially one step up from infrastructure. They not only control everything that infrastructure controls, but they also control OS, middleware, and runtime. And then software as a service basically controls everything for you. So it's basically like you don't need the hard drives, you don't run the the servers, you don't control how much data can be saved on those servers. All of that is taken care of you by SaaS solutions. And that's essentially where Avepoint is focusing on. They're focusing on, right here it says, migrating data to software as a service solutions. And migration is essentially just if people have their data already stored on on-premise data storage facilities or infrastructure or platform, Avepoint is helping them migrate their data from on-premise to software as a solution, which is really important. There's a lot of issues that can happen during migration. You can lose data, data can be compromised, and so you want to make sure that whoever is helping you migrate your data over is a trusted and very well experienced service. They're also helping in managing people's data, which is essentially just managing the day-to-day. So that would be like if any of you have ever used like Google Drive, for example. Google Drive is a good example because they manage all of your data. Like when you open up Google Drive and all of your saved files are there, that's them just essentially managing your data. And then on top of that, they also protect data. And data protection is basically just information privacy. It's the relationship between the collection of data, technology, and just managing the public expectation of privacy, and the legal and political issues surrounding them. Data protection is really important, especially for big corporations, like Amazon, for example. A lot of their data is, it's important. You don't want it to get into the wrong hands. So Avepoint being the only business in the world right now that provides data migration management and data protection all in one package gives them a pretty decent competitive advantage over their competitors. Right now, they're the largest in the business. So not only do they have like first mover advantage, but since they're the largest, they also have the advantage of social proofing. Everybody knows them in this business. They're growing pretty rapidly, and because of that, they're going to continue to grow and attract more attention the bigger and bigger that they get. And that's basically it. That's pretty much why I'm investing in Avepoint. I just think that them being the largest data management solutions provider in the world, it gives them really good advantages, and they're also growing pretty rapidly. They have really good leadership in their board of directors, and also potential opportunities in the future to expand to Amazon will help give them more leverage and help them charge more for their services, which will increase their revenues internationally, and that will just skyrocket the share price of their stock. So that's it. Thanks for watching.